I'm going to tell you a story, but I'll be honest. No explanation is possible for those who do not believe. After Jesus' resurrection, the disciples were sent out to share the gospel. Mary moved to John the Apostle's home. According to the legend, she took some of her personal belongings. One of the things was a table, built by Jesus in St. Joseph's workshop and used during the Last Supper. St. Luke visited Mary very often. Once, he was asked to paint a portrait of Mary, and he used the wooden slab of it to memorialize her image. While he was painting, Mary told story after story, each more impressive than the last. The evangelist later recorded these facts in his gospel. Stay tuned till the end because this painting will have an important role later. But we are in 40 AD. As I said, Mary is still alive and the disciples are worldwide. St. James was trying to evangelize the people in Zaragoza, Spain. He had been traveling through Hispania, preaching the gospel to anyone who would listen, but it seemed like nobody cared. James was discouraged, and he was close to giving up. So on January 2nd, 40 AD, as James was praying, he heard the most beautiful voices of angels singing Ave Maria. Suddenly, Virgin Mary appeared before him and stood on a pillar carried by angels. Mary was still living in Palestine, so the apparition was by location. Virgin Mary said to build a temple in her memory and the pillar should serve as the altar. She said it would be many miracles and the pillar will remain in that place until the end of the world. Mary assured him that his efforts would not be in vain and people would eventually come to Christ and their faith would be as strong as the pillar she stood. Later on, they built a church and it was the first one dedicated to Virgin Mary, and that pillar still stands there. 8 years later, in 48 AD, Mary left this earth when she was 54 years old. 3 days later, after her assumption into heaven, she appeared to the apostles in a brilliant light that outshone the sun. They asked for her help and protection, and she told them, "I stay with you in eternity." St. Thomas wasn't there because he was in India, but she also appeared to him after the assumption. 33 years later, in 81 AD, St. John was on the island of Patmos in Greece. John had another vision of Mary as the woman clothed in the sun. She had the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. What John saw is written down in Revelation chapter 12. So actually, Marian's apparition is in the Bible. Now, do you remember that painting of St. Luke from the beginning? That painting remained for a while in Jerusalem, but in the 4th century, St. Helena discovered the picture. She is the one who also found the true cross. This picture came to Rome, in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. This basilica also relates to a Marian apparition and a miraculous event in Rome in 352 AD. A wealthy couple, John and his wife, didn't have children and they prayed for an heir to inherit their wealth. The Virgin appeared to them and told them to build a basilica on Escaline Hill, which would be outlined in snow. Pope Liberius also received the message. On a hot summer, it began to snow, but only over the spot where the basilica would be built. The snowfall continued until the outline of the basilica was clearly visible. The Pope ordered the construction of St. Mary's Major Basilica, which has also been called Our Lady of the Snows. This icon arrived in this basilica during the pontificate of Pope St. Gregory the Great back in the 5th century. A plague happened. The Pope carried the icon through Rome and asked for Mary's intercession and protection, and the epidemics end. An angel appeared as the Pope walked back to St. Peter's Basilica. From that moment, the castle where the angel appeared was named the Castle of St. Angelo. But guess what happened? The plague ended. But 37 years later, a cholera epidemic occurred and they did the same thing with this icon again. And guess what happened? The epidemic again ended. As I said, for those who believe, no explanation is necessary. For those who do not believe, no explanation is possible. Thanks for watching. God bless.